Hello and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm Cassidy. If it's not, thanks for always tuning into my videos. Today we are going over my most surprising and most disappointing reads of 2021. I'm doing them both in the same video, but I will put a timestamp down here. I'm going to start with my most disappointing. If you would like to just skip to my most surprising, you can go here. I know that disappointing can depress people, and some people don't like to watch it, so that's why that's there. Without further ado, let's get right on into the video because we got a lot to talk about today. The first book is Warstorm by Victoria Aveyard. I briefly talked about this in my worst of the year. I really enjoy the Red Queen series as like a guilty pleasure read, but I really hated the ending of this book. So I am disappointed that I hated the ending so much that I gave this book 2 stars. The rest of the book, great. The rest of the series, I love. I don't necessarily recommend it all the time because it is a typical YA dystopian, think Hunger Games Divergent times, but I love it. It's just so guilty and has one of my favorite characters. I love him so much. He's so dark and depressing. If you don't know, the Red Queen series follows Mare Barrow, who is of red blood. The red bloods are like the low-born class, and the silver bloods are like the high royalty. Silver bloods are born with special powers. Reds do not have them. Mare somehow stumbles into the castle where all the silver bloods live and accidentally shows that she has some sort of ability, and she just kind of, with that, ruins like your typical society, what society thinks. You're kind of ruining the rules of society, so it's very political. There's royalty. It's really good, in my opinion, in like a guilty way, because it is just like, give it to me, like it's just good, like I want to eat it like more. I binged this last December and I finished this one. This was my first read of 2021, and yeah, I just really hated the ending. I can't say anything else. It's on this list because I fucking hated the ending, like literally the last 20 pages. Ugh. I just pretend they don't exist when I recommend this. But most people loved the ending. It's just a me thing, I think. The next one we're going to talk about is Spellslinger by Sebastian de Castell. This made me very sad. I picked this book up on Jade at JD Ray Reads recommendation. She always raves about this on her channel. We have very similar taste, so I thought I was going to love this. I gave this book a 3-star. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I want to continue as I think I can see the growth that will happen in this series. Spellslinger follows our main character, Kellen, who is trying to be a mage, but he just seems to fail every single test, and you have to pass in order to become a mage. He seems to have no great ability, but his family is one of very strong line, and if you don't pass and become a mage, you just become like a lowly servant in this world. Yeah, it's just his journey. I can't really say anything else. I don't want to give spoilers away. The story is quite interesting. The world that is created is quite good. I did not love the writing style in this. I often found it kind of clashed with what the story was at, and I think it clashed because it's YA to me. I also just really didn't enjoy our main character, Kellen. He just irked me a lot, so it was really hard to read. I found the like comedy in this just didn't fit properly, and most of it didn't fit with Kellen. Like, he didn't seem like a funny character to me, but he was always cracking these jokes, but they just didn't match him. I don't know if that makes sense, but I really want to continue this series as I think that Kellen will go through incredible character development, and I can't wait to see that. And like, the world is cool. I'm disappointed in this because I really wanted to love it, and I thought I was gonna love it. I remember I picked up the next book, I read a chapter of it, and I put it down, and I have not picked it up yet. I'm gonna pick it up sometime coming soon, but for now, I'm just disappointed in this book because I really wanted to love it, and I thought I was going to love the writing style of this, and it just let me down. But this was not my last attempt at Sebastian de Castell. The next book I have is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. I was expecting to love this book. I previously this year had read the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I loved it. I binged it in one day, thought it was incredible, loved the like campy humor in it, and everyone said that Southern Book Clubs wasn't as good as My Best Friend's Exorcism and Horror Store, so I picked up My Best Friend's Exorcism thinking this is going to be better. And I just kind of felt it slow and boring, and nothing really that astonishing happens in it. I really had to push through reading it, where Southern Book Clubs I binged, like I couldn't put it down. The horror in this is very non-existent. It's not very scary, which if you're not a scary lover is probably a good thing, but I love like a thrill. Like I love when I'm creeped out. So yeah, just let me down. I gave this 3 stars. I'm continuing on my Grady Hendrix journey, but just didn't love this one. And I wanted to. If you don't know, my best friend's Exorcism is literally what it's about. It's about a girl whose best friend gets possessed by a demon and she has to exorcise the demon out of her, and it's kind of just the journey of figuring out that happened and how to fix it, and it's kind of anticlimactic in my opinion. The next book is Sight Witch, which was a novella in the Witchlands series. I don't read novellas often because I don't like them, and this was a case of that. This novella was very important to the Witchlands series, so I'm glad I read it. I would have been so confused reading the next book if I hadn't read it, but I feel like this didn't get the time it deserved. Most people, this is like their favorite of the series. I just didn't really enjoy it. It actually got a 2-star from me, and I realized I didn't put this in my worst of the year when I was just telling you all my 2 stars of the year, so I kind of forgot it. It was just kind of unmemorable to me, and the thing is, I know personally that me and mixed media format don't go together. It's a buzzword for most people when something's mixed media. For me, I just know it kind of, my brain doesn't comprehend it as nicely, it doesn't flow as nicely for me, and there is some mixed media in this. And I really think that's the reason I didn't enjoy it, truthfully. I also just didn't really care about this character, but we were given a lot of world. I can't really tell you what this is about because it is like, my cat's crying. It's just fully about what happens in Witchlands. Like, I can't give you a brief thing. Witchland starts with Truth Witch, which is about Azul and Safi. Safi is the last remaining Truth Witch, which makes her kind of really important to the world. She's kept the fact that she's a Truth Witch a secret and hidden from everyone, but when it accidentally gets revealed, shit starts to go on, and there is a lot of just moving pieces happening and very confusing. There's gods and a prophecy and just everything you know is always flipped upside down with this series. And yeah, I enjoyed most of the series until the last book, but Sight Witch was just a no from me, which most novellas are. They're short and I just don't love them. Hello? Someone came to say hi. And the last book on this list is Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. I gave this book 3 stars. I read Throne of Glass and I was honestly shocked by how much I enjoyed it. And I had gone out and I was like, I need to finish this series. Like, I know I'm gonna binge it. I just, like, it's another guilty read. Like, sometimes I'm just in the mood for a guilty YA fantasy, if that makes sense. And I am a binge reader. So I went out and I bought the entire series, besides I think the last 2 books. Read Crown of Midnight the next day and said, well, frickety frackety fruck. I no longer want to read the rest of the series at this moment in time. I am not going to binge this. I put it down after Crown of Midnight and I still haven't picked up the next book. Crown of Midnight did get 3 stars still from me, but it was a low 3 stars. I was just bored. Part of this is because I do know spoilers, which the next book something happens and we get like, I can't really explain it, but I don't like to invest myself necessarily in new characters, and I know in the next book a lot of characters are new, and I'm not ready for that. I also know just like what happens. I am a fan of spoilers. I am the person that watches The Bachelor and I Google who wins the first episode. Spoilers don't ruin anything for me, so that's not the reason why I don't want to pick it up. I just maybe wasn't as invested in this book because I knew not to get attached. But also I know a lot of people who slumped at this book, and you either then pick up the next book and you love it, or you pick it up and you hate it, and I'm scared to pick up the next book. These books will self-destruct in 12 months because of that. Yeah, I was just disappointed because I was ready to read the entire series, and after this I was just like, oh, okay, let's read something else. So that's why it's only disappointing. It was really just boring. Crown of Midnight is the second book in Throne of Glass series. So Throne of Glass follows Selena Sardonthian, who is a assassin who was sent to this prison where everyone pretty much just dies in 1 year. When she survives long enough, the prince comes and asks her to be his champion, where his father is having a competition of champions, and if you're the last champion standing, you get to be the country's champion and work for the king for a couple years and then get your freedom. Let's move on to the most surprising of the year, which is a lot more fun, I think. I tried to keep any of my like favorites off of this list. There is one 5-star, which is A Court of Mist and Fury. I'm pretty much putting the entire ACOTAR series on this because I was so shocked that I loved them. I don't know what possessed me to pick them up. I think it was TikTok and book talk and all the hype going on, and I just am so easily swayed that I picked these up not thinking I would like them at all, and I really, 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 really enjoyed them. Enough that I gave A Court of Mist and Fury and A Court of Wings and Ruin 5 stars. A Court of Thorns and Roses I think got a low 4-star. If you read them, you know the next books are better. The second book specifically, Chef's Kiss. I'm literally shocked that I enjoy this. If you don't know, A Court of Thorns and Roses follows Farah, who is a human and accidentally shoots a wolf that is actually a fairy. They're called fae, they're not fairies, but they're fairies. And then a fae king comes to her house and essentially says that she has to pay up for killing the fae and come live with him, and then things get real. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, as well as it's a retelling for something else that I just don't know the name of right now. There are trials in it. I loved the trials in this. They were so much fun, and I actually really enjoy the character development that happens in all of these books. And I do think that Miss Mass does a wonderful job at things like depression and anxiety and putting those into her book in very relatable ways, even though they are fantastical worlds full of fairies and magic and all that good stuff. There we go. And the next book on this list, similar, is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Again, I am a reader that literally says I don't like any kind of romance. And this year, I kind of fell in love with a couple fantasy romances. I really just enjoyed them. I think it's on the same level of a guilty YA. I just like to sit in bed sometimes with a guilty pleasure book, and I love me some fairy porn. Although From Blood and Ash is not fairy porn. I can't tell you what kind of porn it is, I guess. From Blood and Ash follows Poppy, who is the maiden. This means that she is not allowed to have any kind of pleasure. She's not allowed to be touched. She's really not allowed to be seen. And when something happens to one of her guards, she gets a new guard and starts to get some spicy feelings about him. And you just get like good stuff. I really enjoyed the tension, the tension in this book is everything. It's just everything. Between them, their chemistry is so good. I thought it was so on par, and I really enjoyed this. I also really enjoyed the second book. Third book, not as much. But I can't wait for the next one, and I did not think I'd be saying that. When I picked up a fantasy romance book, I did not think that I was gonna be giving them more than 2 stars, to be honest, but here we are, and I may be trash for fantasy romance. Sometimes. Only sometimes, because I've had some hit and misses now, but I'm gonna continue trying them, and hopefully I find another series that is like From Blood and Ash and like ACOTAR. So if you know any, please let me know down below. So far, I've tried the Plated Prisoner series, Fortune of Sworn, and A Touch of Darkness. I didn't love them as much. And I've read Abridged Kingdom and loved that. The next book on this list is Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell. After having read Spellslinger, I did not have high hopes for this book. I was like, okay, I didn't like the writing style in Spellslinger. I'm not gonna love it in Traitor's Blade. I was wrong. That leap from YA to adult was everything to me, and it's also the reason that I'm willing to give Spellslinger such another chance and willing to give it a couple books, because I loved this series. High 4 stars. I've read Traitor's Blade and Knight's Shadow. I loved them both. Seb's writing in this is everything. The humor is everything. It's dark and it's raunchy. Well, it's not raunchy, but it's dark and so good. I think like what didn't work in Spellslinger worked so well here, and I think about the darkness aspect. I just feel like the comedy worked so much better in this setting than Spellslinger, but I'm hoping Spellslinger gets better. But we already talked about Spellslinger, so let's talk about Traitor's Blade. Traitor's Blade follows Falkio, Brasti, and Kest, who used to be Greatcoats. They are kind of like the Knights to the King, but when the king passes away, gets murdered, he gets real murdered, he gives all the Greatcoats one last mission, and you are now following them on that mission. And it's just good. It gives me Three Musketeer vibes, and the brotherhood between these three is so good. Just everything is so good. I'm so excited to read the rest of these. I really can't say anything else. It's just marvelous. And this is your sign that if you picked up Spellslinger, didn't overly like it, pick up this one because it's so much better. No offense to you Spellslinger lovers, like, I'm willing to try Spellslinger more, but it's just, this was everything. The next book on my list is A Bone Shard Daughter, which I gave 4 stars. This is by Andrea Stewart. This is less surprising than the other ones because I thought I was gonna like this book, but I just had no, like, real, like, opinions at first. Like, I was like, oh, I might like this, but it didn't scream 5 stars. I never read anything by her ever before. The concept sounded interesting, but I think I got it from the library and I read it, and just by fluke, I think I had it, and I loved it. It was so good. The world building in this is so unique. There is an animal companion that is amazing. Everyone loves him. Essentially, in The Bone Shard Daughter, we have a world where the emperor has this type of magic that he uses and no one else knows how to use it. So this magic comes from taking the bone shard out of young kids, using this in little creations that the emperor can then control, but they're slowly draining like a little bit of life off of people that they're using these bone shards from. And you're just kind of following that, and the main character, who is the emperor's daughter, has lost her memories, and she kind of has to prove herself before she is given the gates to the magic and how to use it by her dad, and there is a foster brother competing against her. Whoever proves themselves first will get the magic, and there's a couple other characters in it that we follow, and I really just loved this for the world building, and it was such a unique world and magic system, which is something I really, really love and look for, that I loved this, and I was shocked by how much I enjoyed it. And our last most surprising book of the year was A Dowry of Blood, which I gave 4 stars. I was not expecting to like this so much, as it is a retelling, one that I don't really lean towards. 2, it is very, very lyrical, and I do not like lyrical writing at all normally, but this read like a song, like a poem. It was beautiful, and the story told is a work of art. It's definitely, I think, more of a reimagining than a retelling. If you don't know, Dowry of Blood is a reimagining of Dracula's Bride. This follows Constance as she just kind of tells the story of how she became a vampire, her love life with Dracula, and all the queer stuff that happens in between, because there is a poly relationship and queer relationships in this, and I just was not expecting to like this, and I really, really liked it. I really liked it. I was expecting, I don't know, to hate it because of the lyrical writing, and it was so good. That's it. Those are my most surprising and most disappointing reads of the year. Anything surprised you? Anything on this list? And anyways, have such a wonderful day. If you made it this far into the video and you'd like to leave me a comment down below to say that you were here but you have nothing to say, leave me a key emoji. I don't know why, but the Bone Shard Daughter reminds me of keys. And have yourself a wonderful day. I will leave some videos on the screen that I think that you would enjoy if you checked out. Bye!